fucking way, man. No, Tony, who you want to shout out before we get out of here, man?
I want to end with that last question, the top 3 high-profile defense attorneys of all time.
Yeah.
There was a guy named Jim Shello, who was the most brilliant defense attorney I've ever met. He died at 95 years old last year.
Wow.
And he took me under his wing about 10 years ago. And he was one of the most creative guys I ever met. He was a Milwaukee lawyer. He developed a defense to beat cocaine cases where he would hire a chemist to study the drugs and argue that it wasn't even cocaine.
Wow.
So his clients would get caught with 10, 20, 30 kilos of cocaine. They'd hire Jim. He'd get his chemist on board. The chemist would study the cocaine and say, oh, no, it's not cocaine. It's something else. And he was winning cases around the country and made a name for himself that way. So that's who brilliant guy. That's who I praise him for a lot of the influence that he gave me in my life and advice that he's provided.
That's nice, man. I'm gonna look him up too, man.
Yeah, just died last year. A wonderful man.
Wow. Dude, how the fuck was he doing that though?
He had a chemist who was able to look at the drugs. See, people hear so cocaine is illegal, right?
Yeah.
But only if it fits a particular definition. Like it has to have a molecular structure that's defined in the statute. Okay. So he'd see the molecular structure of this thing they found is slightly different. And so however the hell he argued it back then, it was working around the country and he made a name for himself.
Yeah, he's smart, man. I'm going to tell you off camera what he do. I'm going to tell you.
All right.
Hold on. Yeah, man. Johnnie Cochran, he's one of my personal favorites. You know what I'm saying?
The OJ case.
The OJ case, that was huge. You know what I'm saying? Even though I was 4 or 5 years old when it happened, you know what I'm saying? That was the first lawyer I ever even had knowledge of.
Yeah.
Period.
So can I make a statement about that?
Yeah.
One thing I thought would be a brilliant idea if we started this would be call it the Black Lawyer Project. If we could produce in our community 20, just pick 20 high school kids.
Yeah.
Put them under the wings of 20 defense attorneys and say, this is your adopted lawyer. That we're going to produce the next generation of black lawyers. I think that would have a huge impact. Johnnie Cochran was inspiring to me as a white kid. You know, I remember growing up, my mom wasn't even a lawyer at that time. Yeah. And I was watching Johnnie Cochran I wasn't thinking I want to be like my mom going to law school. I want to be like that guy.
Yeah.
And that was inspiring. And it made me realize, I don't know what his upbringing was, but it made me realize that if we were producing more black lawyers, we would have a better impact in every respect in our society. And I don't know how to do that because there's so few. It's so hard to make it to make it through high school, through college, through law school. And that's why I had thought of this Black Lawyer Project. Get 20 lawyers together to say, hey, we're identifying these kids and we're going to show them how to succeed in college, show them how to help review their papers they got to write, help prepare them for law school. If you had that mentorship, I think that's what's lacking.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a kid right now growing up in inner city Milwaukee and you got some potential and you think academically I could become a lawyer someday, where do you even start? You don't know one. And I've had high school kids reach out to me on Instagram and say, can I come shadow you for a day? Can I come be a part of your office to learn what this is like? Because I think I'd like to do this someday. Yeah. They would kill it.
Yeah.
I mean, you get jurors in Milwaukee that are half African-American jury pools. We need more talented young African-American attorneys or men and women to want to become attorneys. I thought Johnnie Cochran would have really promoted more. Maybe he did have an impact, but there needs to be a modern day Johnnie Cochran for young black men and women to look at.
Definitely. Yeah, that was dope, man. That's a dope idea, man. We might have to think of something.
We should talk about that. It's something I've really been toying with. You just find 20 good defense lawyers, and each one of them, you don't have to provide financial sponsorship, but you got to provide academic sponsorship. Yeah. Where this person, you will work with them all the way through law school. Right. And maybe they don't become a defense attorney. Maybe they become a judge.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Right.
Or they become a prosecutor. I would love it if we had more prosecutors, to your point before, more prosecutors that come out of the environment that is being prosecuted. That would make a huge difference.